Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to request the CS to take, when you go back to the generals, to take our greetings and our appreciation for their professionalism and discipline as a unit of security in this country. Having said that, I'm a little bit apprehensive listening to you and reading the Constitution. It is not clear. Minister, once the forces are deployed, what self-propelling mechanism has the National Security Council put in place to ensure that once they are deployed, they do not roll into taking over government?
Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you cannot fail to notice that Senator Medu today is very, very well dressed. The hair looks good. Mr. Speaker, there's one thing, Mr. Speaker, that I have not told you. It's a lot of things I have not told you. I have not told this House. That at some point in my life, I lived in the barracks. My father is a former Army officer, that time Army, Kenya Army. And so matters security and matters defense are very close to my heart. Mr. Speaker, the world over, armies are trained basically to do three things. Basically, whether it's explicit or not, but basically do three things. One is to fight. Two is to kill. And three is to die for the motherland. That is the basic training of any army anywhere in the world, including Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I would want to know from the CS, our colleague, Senator Soipan Tuya, when in July 2024, the KDF was unleashed on our streets, first of all, what battalion is it that was released to the streets? What was the mandate of their mission? Because the mandate must be very, very clear. And Mr. Speaker, the Gazette notice that released the KDF to the streets, has it been revoked, or are they in the streets in perpetuity? Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, when the minister was answering, she gave two examples and said in the North Rift, where they were carrying out Maliza Uhalifu operation, the Inspector General of Police was in charge, and the defense forces were supporting. In our neighbor, Lamu County, when they were doing Amani Boni operation, it is the Chief of Defense Forces who was in command. The question I wanted to ask the minister, we have the highest respect for our defense forces as a nation, and the discipline and the respect, we admire them. But what we wanted to know, in fact, the question is not on their primary duties, which is the territorial protection of this nation. The question always arises on their secondary duties, which is, getting into civilian mix, and you have explained it very well. Why is it that, you don't have a law specific for that. You don't quote the Constitution. Constitution gives general principles. Why don't you have a law specific on deployment of the army for civilian purposes? And the reason I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, is that when you go to some projects, even construction projects, you are told these ones are not going to be advertised. It's the army which will do it. We have no doubt that the army can do it. But why isn't there a proper legal framework which is going to be, debated by the representatives of the people and made clear? And this is a suggestion, Honorable CS, that it is time, because all these questions are around the law, the application of how does the army get mixed with civilian life. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Majaya.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, nataka kuuliza swali kwa waziri. Waziri, swali ambalo nataka kuuliza ni kwamba kuna sehemu kubwa sana ya shamba ambalo wale wanajeshi wa Mariakani Army Barracks wamelichukua ama wanaishi hapo. Sehemu kubwa sana ya shamba ambapo wale familia husika imeweza kutupwa nje na wamejaribu sana kuweza kupata hiyo ardhi yao, na mpaka hivi sasa bado hawajaipata. Wizara yako imechukua hatua gani kuona kwamba lile shamba ambalo ile familia imedhulumiwa pale Mariakani, na alafu imedhulumiwa na wanajeshi ambao wananchi sasa hawawezi kufanya chochote kwa sababu ni wanajeshi ndio wanaketi hapo, na ile shamba na hakika unajua ya kwamba ile shamba wakati army ikienda pale wananchi wenyewe walikuwa wanaishi pale kama familia. Ni hatua gani umechukua kuregesha hiyo shamba kwa wale wakaazi ama wenyewe hiyo shamba wanaoishi hapo Mariakani ile familia? Umefanya hatua gani kuona kwamba hiyo shamba imeweza kurudi kwao? Asante.
Senator Mundege. Senator Murgo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I have a question about North Rift situation. This situation definitely, CS, is very conducive and it is quiet now. But once in a while, we get a reaction. I mean, there is no perfection yet. You will find that maybe one of those thugs will go to one side and do something that is unexpected. But the reaction from KDF is equally disastrous because they beat people all over generally and even kill and shoot cows and all this. Could this be a matter of a camp or a unit overstaying in a place until probably they begin to not be up to what they went for? Because it seems like they are now not up to what they went for, but other things that are equally violent.
Senator Mofire.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is to our former colleague, CS Soipan Tuya. Honorable Speaker, there is a very old tradition in this country that whenever we have a recruitment, especially the military recruitment, there is a lot of hue and cry from the public, where people will go to an extent of even disposing their property to get money so that their sons and daughters can be recruited in the military. This, Honorable Speaker, has created a very imbalanced recruitment, because only those who can afford to pay for that recruitment get their sons and daughters recruited in the military. We have had cases where parents have lost money through fraudsters. Get somebody who has requests you to get him some money so that maybe your son or daughter can be recruited in the military. In this case, Honorable Speaker, we have denied our poor parents an opportunity to get their sons and daughters serve in the military. So what is this that the ministry is doing? Because this is cancerous. It has been with us for a very long time. I don't know. I have not even captured any sentiment from the ministry for that matter, and raising that pertinent issue that is affecting our parents across the country. What is your ministry doing to make sure that this bad habit stops forthwith?
Now, before I allow the Honorable CS to respond, Honorable Senators, allow me to remind you that a supplementary question is a question that flows from the primary question. Now, the questions by Senator Mohamed Chute, Senator Mazayo of Kilifi, and Senator Mofaya do not qualify to be supplementary questions. However, I will allow the Honorable CS, if she's able to adequately respond to those three questions, you may proceed to respond as you respond to the other supplementary questions. If you're not in a position, you can undertake to provide a more detailed response to those three questions. Honorable CS, you may now take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The questions are a bit too many, but I will give an attempt to respond to all of them adequately. And I'll go in order of the way they were posed to me. The question by the Honorable Senator Tom Ojenda on what the threshold is for the KDF stepping in to contain threats, internal threats, in support of the National Police Service. And Mr. Speaker, I had demonstrated that there is a continuous engagement between the national security organs through the National Security Council and the National Security Committee, and we deal with situational analysis of security situations on a very regular basis. So this is just to assure the country and this House that in as much as we don't have a scientific threshold to this effect, any matters that require the intervention of KDF, and this has been demonstrated over time, are done in a timely fashion. And this is in support of the National Police Service. And it is not to say that the police are not doing their work. It is because we have serious security challenges that emerge every so often, and that support then is required from the Kenya Defence Forces. The second question, Mr. Speaker, was asked by, I'm sorry, I did not indicate the name of the senator, who was asking what other duties, no, this is Senator Ojenda still, what other duties, apart from the KDF sitting to wait for...
Senator Ojenda, may you listen to the CS in silence.
The Honorable Senator, Professor, Senior Counsel Tom Ojenda, Senator for Kisumu County. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, The KDF, our soldiers don't just sit in the barracks. There is a lot of involvement in humanitarian and civic activities all across the country in support of communities, and this is in the area of water security, schools, school infrastructure, and roads. And I'm sure we can attest to this at the various levels of involvement of the KDF in different parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, we also have a very serious defense industry unit of the KDF, where we have semi-autonomous government agencies, an example being the Kenya Meat Commission and the Kenya Ordnance Factories, KOFSI, which engage in a number of activities away from fighting and the core mandate of our personnel. Mr. Speaker, the question by the Senator of Nairobi, Honorable Sifuna, on what was inaccurate about the article by the Nation Media Group. Mr. Speaker, to the extent that the article referred to a military coup, I can only say that it is indeed baseless, it is inaccurate, and reckless. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, question by Senator Chute, in as much as it has been declared inadmissible by the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are seized of the matter of the Karare land, and I want to appreciate the support of the Senator. We have had discussions, even this morning. He accosted me as I was walking into the House, and we are going to advance the discussions as agreed, Mr. Speaker, and we will need the support of the leadership of Marsabit County, because the military base that is intended to be set up in Marsabit is for the interest of the Kenyans, the Kenya population in general, and more specifically, those communities affected by insecurity situations in Marsabit. The other interests espoused by the different parties are also pertinent, and we are going to address that through the means that we have agreed on. Honorable Senator for Migori, on the question of the limits of what KDF should and can do once deployed, Mr. Speaker, the definition of deployment is very clear, as stated under the Constitution, and KDF does not undertake investigations, does not undertake any form of arrest, or dealing with any internal criminal liability issues. There are institutions that are tasked with that mandate, and the role of the KDF then is restricted to restoring stability and leave all these other issues to the relevant agencies of government, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Deputy Speaker, Senator Kadhuri, thank you for admitting that the support of KDF to the National Police Service is indeed working in the North Rift, and this has been attested to by the Senator for West Pokot County. We appreciate that feedback, and I want to say that unfortunately we also cannot be everywhere as KDF, but like I said, in instances where the insecurity has gone down in the North Rift but is escalating in other parts of the country, that is noted, Mr. Speaker, and these are the issues that are in constant